confidants, it's your girl, Father Longlegs, Teresa Lee. What's up? This is You Can Tell Me Anything, the podcast where comedians confess something they've never told anyone before. I'm really excited for my guest today. You may have heard her voice on a special edition of the pod. It was a festival edition, so we had quick, short confessions, but I was going to say she moved to LA, but we'll find out if she actually did, because I feel like she goes back and forth. But anyways, she's here now in LA, so we're doing a longer confession. Here for a full episode, host of the Big Laughs at Little Easy show in Los Angeles is Molly Ruben-Long.
Hi.
What's up? So do you go back and forth?
I live here.
Okay, that's what I thought, but I know you go back and forth a lot.
I grew up in Brooklyn, so like my family's still there. So It's like a good excuse to go a few times a year and like do shows. Yeah, it is. It's lucky for sure.
That's awesome. I've been doing this thing where I find funny tweets from the guests, and so I found one from yours. It's actually your pin tweet. I liked it a lot because it's like different, because you took a photo of a store that says natural chicken, and then you wrote, "You make me feel like a," which I just love. It's so simple, but I love that kind of thing where you're like, this makes me laugh. This is what I think of. Maybe other people will relate.
Yeah, that was one that was like, I'm like not that. I'm working on my Twitter game. I really am. But I feel like every time a tweet goes viral, it's one that I'm like, what? Like, how did this one pop off? I don't know. But people really loved it. One interesting fact about that is that I was thinking of like Aretha Franklin. Yeah. But a lot of younger people thought of Ariana Grande.
Oh, wait.
You make me feel like a chicken.
I see. Dangerous Woman. I was like, which one is their chicken song?
Yeah. So I was like, that was an interesting interpretation that I wasn't expecting.
Okay, I love it. A cross-generational comedy.
Exactly.
So that's great. No, but your Twitter is great. You've got great jokes. They always make me laugh. I like how bold they are too. I feel like you'll just like, you know what I mean? Like you'll just say things and I'm like, ooh, brave. Like it's just like, who's this subtweet about?
Oh yeah, I love a subtweet.
Do you ever get called out for subtweets?
Not so much. My ex got mad at me for generally tweeting that I was fucking other people after we broke up. So yeah, he went on a very
but that's your brand before and after.
It was, yeah. I know. It's not I didn't apologize about it.
It wasn't like you were doing it to spite him. Like,
no,
and I feel like you talk about that on stage all the time.
Yeah, and I specifically like wasn't talking. I didn't want to talk about him. I was just talking about like my experience, whatever. But yeah, no, that's the only thing. But otherwise, I usually just subtweet bad people who like know they're bad. Like I just recently went through a thing where a dude like was cheating on his girlfriend with me, and so I've been tweeting a lot about that.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if that was an old story or like a current.
Like pretty current. Wow. It's a whole long story. Well, I'll tell you.
Okay.
If anyone wants to know, I'll tell them too. It's just like that's not the point of this podcast right now.
Well, it's interesting because I get nervous about subtweeting because I always like. I'm getting over this, but I used to be like, oh no, people are going to think I'm doing this or this. But then I was like, I'm a comedian. I should just be able to say what I want.
I feel the same way.
But sometimes what I'll do when I have things, like I'll think of jokes during breakups or during a thing, is I'll save it. And then I'll wait and then I'll tweet it.
Yes. I do that too.
Sometimes it backfires because then later, I've been asked about like, I have a joke in my set about just someone random I went on like a few dates with, but I was doing it recently and people were like, is that about your ex? I'm like, no, but I also don't want to answer that because then that opens the doors to answer questions about every joke. So then I was just like, I don't like to say. And I'm like, they definitely think it is.
Whatever.
And I was like, it's fine.
A piece of shit. So.
I had to tell. I just started seeing someone new very like early in, not relationship, but like I did get nervous about like, because he said he watched my comedy and I was like, I had to explain. I was like, sometimes I like say jokes like it starts from a truth, but then I go into the punchline because it's funny and it's not true. Right. And I like told him that because I have a joke about like not liking to suck dick and things like that. Where I'm like, I had to be like, I like sucking dick. Like I was like, don't worry.
Oh my god.
I was like, why am I explaining this?
He was like, I watched your set and actually it's over now.
Yeah. Well, because then I had a joke just yesterday. I posted about going on a first date with a man and a woman, but it was just because I thought of it. And I was like, oh, I hope he doesn't think this is. But I was like, who cares? Yeah. I was like, it doesn't matter.
As long as you give him the heads up that like anything you say. I know there's this one couple in comedy here who like is together, but both of them tweet like they're single.
Yeah.
Which I think is like so smart. Totally. I mean, they're both really good at Twitter and both really funny. Yeah. And it's Hollywood like, it's so smart. I'm just like, what a great idea. Like, keep that brand strong, you know what I mean? Like I respect it.
So you can fall apart immediately.
It's like you're a character, you know. You can just tweet from that point of view. So
Yeah, it's like for sure. It makes sense. You want to keep your brand. You don't want to. That sounds gross to say, and I don't mean it like that, but I kind of do. I don't know.
No, it's important to be. Yeah, brand is like such a overused word or whatever, but like that's what it is. It's just like your point of view.
Yeah, and it's I think funnier to be like, what is the universal? Like it comes from a truth, but what is the version of this joke that can connect to more people?
Exactly.
And sometimes you water it down, where it's just like my ex or my boyfriend, my crush, but it's like, because
otherwise
really
it takes so much explaining. Like
you don't want to be like, well, actually I went on a date with this one person and then like or like I was on a trip, so it was only like it couldn't have worked out, but then this,
right. It's like that's too much.
But I like to start by asking my guests for a good confession, just to start on a positive note. Do you have something good you want to confess?
I can confess that I started playing the guitar last month. I started teaching myself guitar. That's my good confession.
That's
great. I had this guitar that I like tried. I took lessons when I was like in middle school, and then once again when I was in college, and I just it never really stuck. And I carried this guitar around with me from like city to city for over a decade
without playing
it. Oh my gosh. And there was something about like the new year. I was like, okay, I either have to like try to play this or throw it away by the end of the year. Like those are my two options. Not throw it away, but donate it or whatever. And so I got it restrung, and I like have been practicing. I mean, I'm not very good, but it's very exciting to me. I hope I stick with it.
You're doing it just by yourself on videos, or?
Yeah, for now. I think I was asking people, like actually in one of the like comedy girl groups, I was like, what, does anyone have recommendations? And most people were like, you can pretty much just teach yourself from the beginning, and then once it gets to a certain point of like difficulty, you're probably going to want to hire a teacher. But like for just basic chords, it's just like you got to just keep doing it all the time. So so that's my plan, like to try and get like kind of comfortable with some basic stuff, and then maybe try and find a teacher.
Are you going to be a musical comedian? No.
I mean, I honestly want to. That's my dream.
Honestly, we always laugh at them, but they do them well. So,
I actually do love them. I know there's a lot of shade about musical comedy, but I think it's fun.
It's all just insecurities. Anytime, like even like prop comedy, like it's just funny to make fun of, because there's like very bad prop comedy. Yeah. But then I've seen like great comedians bring a prop into a certain bit, and I'm like, that's prop comedy, but we don't think of it that way because I know you can do jokes.
I feel like there's bad and good versions of all comedy. It's just as if it's good or bad.
Yeah, it's almost like comedy is subjective.
What?
Okay, so this podcast is kind of about loosely inspired by therapy. So I like to ask, like, what's your experience with therapy? Do you go?
Yes, I do. I go to a therapist who I love very much. I'm obsessed with her, and she's the coolest person I've ever known. Her name is Abby, and
I'm sensing projection.
No, it is so much projection. It's bad. I never tell her how much I love her because I do think she'll be upset. I do
is
love
she
her,
like
though.
young?
She is. She's like, yeah. She's probably my age, maybe a few years older.
Gotcha.
She's just like a cool chick. Like she's got like sort of intentionally white hair and like tattoos, and like she's just cool, and she's also just really good. I was going to therapy in New York for a while, and I like it was duds, and then when I got here, I had a few duds. And
that's the worst, because it can really deter you if you're not, especially if it's a new thing for you. You might think all therapy is like that.
Yeah, and the shittiest part of it really is that the ones I was seeing before were all like low cost, and I don't think that's entirely always true, but like eventually I just sucked it up and went with her because I had talked to her and really connected with her. And then like she's, kind of expensive, and it sucks that like I'm sure there are good low cost therapists. I just didn't find them. And so I was like, fuck it. I'm going to go for the one that like trust my gut. And it's really worth it. I love her. She's like just so insightful. She like pushes back just enough. And yeah, she's great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had a hard time when I first moved here finding one too. The first person I went to was like someone who was covered 100% by insurance. I was like, this is great. It was 5 minutes from where I lived at the time. But I showed up, and she was like cuckoo, like not, I'm not even exaggerating, like more than just like we didn't click. Like and it also felt like caricaturistic because she was like old with actual white hair. Like it was like, all over the place, like cuckoo. But at one point she tried to push her book that she wrote. That wasn't even, I did look it up later to be like, is she like actually like a well-known author that is just doing this on the side, and even the book isn't really anything. But she said like it's all inspired by true stories my clients have told me, and I'm like, based on this experience, I feel like that you didn't get permission.
No. Also, that's like literally what we were
It's
just talking about with
illegal.
comedians. Like, I don't want to go to.
No, I don't want
like
that. And it's
so
called
crazy.
dating down. It's like, why you should stop dating down. And it's like,
Oh my
sounds like you're
God.
judging your clients hard. But the worst was there. Okay, she had 2 other grievances I remember. One was she asked me what I did. I said, I'm a writer. And at the time I was a writer's assistant on a whatever pilot. And I told her that. And she said, how'd you get that? Which I was like, I applied. But like,
Who booked that?
literally that's how it felt. But then she was like, oh, like those jobs are really hard, congratulations. And then she was like, I used to be an actress. And I was like, no. And then the last thing she did that I was like, what was she name dropped Robin Williams. So this was like 2015, so shortly after he passed away.
My God.
And she was like, you know, Robin Williams was a friend, very sweet guy. And I was like, you suck. So I never went back.
It's so crazy that therapists can be like, therapists are just people who decide to do it, and a lot of them are crazy. Like I'm always reminded of like I'm very into the Real Housewives. That's like my favorite thing of all time. My favorite city, my favorite 2 cities I think the most consistent overall are New York and Atlanta. But there's different seasons. I mean, I could go. This could go on forever. But there's this one woman on Real Housewives of Potomac, and her mom is a therapist, and her mom have the most toxic relationship I've ever seen.
Yikes.
And like at one point, her mom hit her with a purse.
What?
And it's like, first of all, this woman should not go on television. But it's also
my
like,
God.
who would go to this like this is a therapist. Like
Wild.
someone's trusting this person with their like deepest traumas. Like. Yeah, therapists are just people, and you got to be careful because some of them are crazy.
Trust your gut.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm glad yours sounds good.
Yeah, I love her.
Well, speaking of talking about things, is there anything you'd like to tell me?
There is. In college, my freshman year of college, I peed on my boyfriend at the time's floor.
Okay, on purpose?
Okay, so what happened was...
Or was this a drunk situation?
It was a drunk situation. And I actually don't even remember it. This was all recounted to me.
Blackout.
Total blackout. But basically what happened was I was dating this guy. Actually, this guy who's in comedy now and is literally dating a movie star. I'll tell you who after.
Interesting.
Yes.
Were you guys both doing comedy at the time? Or just happened?
No, I didn't start doing comedy till like a few years after college. But he was like making videos and stuff at the time. But we were both in acting school. So
Gotcha.
In the same realm.
New Orleans?
In New York. I went to NYU, and I just moved to New Orleans after school for some reason.
Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like I did know that. And that makes more sense to go to NYU and be a comedian.
I know there's so few of us actually.
Yeah.
It's a really rare trajectory. But no, we were like, he was 2 years older than me. I was a freshman, and there was no like at NYU there were no like sororities or fraternities.
I was in one, but embarrassed about it. Didn't tell anybody.
There were, but like
they were bad.
They were bad.
They were
I'm
bad.
amazed. You were in one?
I
What
was in
it
one
like?
for just 2 years. I did it because a lot of my friends from California were in them.
What year did you graduate?
2011.
Oh shit.
What about you?
2010.
Okay.
Were you in CAS or in
No, I was
Tisch?
in Tisch.
You were?
Yeah.
what?
Screenwriting.
Oh, that's why.
Yeah,
I didn't-
not
I was like,
acting.
how did I not know you? Yeah.
But I was in Pi Beta Phi, and I know. But it's because a lot of my friends in California were in them, and there was like a good one in California, whatever that means. Like now I'm like, who the fuck cares? So I really wanted to connect to them. But after 2 years, I was like, no,
I get
this is
that. I
lame.
get
It's
it. Like
so
I had
lame.
friends who went to colleges where it was like part of the social scene, and I'm like, I don't look down on sororities fraternities. Like if it's part of it, you got to do it. And like some of the people are really cool and stuff. I don't think they're universally bad, but the ones at NYU just like
very
because
lame.
it was such a small. It was like people who desperately wanted to be part of one, which is like not what you want. Like I want people. If I were to go to one, I would go to one that was like at a school where like you kind of had to, so like everyone's kind of doing it. You know,
it's very basic because not to be. I mean, it's almost more arrogant. The cool people who aren't in one, but like in NYU, the cool people were like, I don't know, like clubs or going to hang out with celebrities, but also some of them were celebrities. So it's like it's such a it's such a
weird
wide
college
range
experience
of
for sure.
Coolness that you're like, you can't be in a sorority.
But so they did. Okay, so they did exist, but they were not that many people were in them. Sorry.
No, I agree.
But so he lived in this apartment, this like 2-story apartment with like. I think 6 or 7 guys, and so they kind of like jokingly called it the like frat house or whatever. And so one night he and I were hanging out, and we went down to like the liquor store, and he was like, okay, like let's get something to drink. And like he was drinking something else, and I was like, oh, I want wine. So he bought a bottle of wine.
Classy.
Like, I'm actually pretty classy. And he had these roommates. One of his roommates at the time was dating this girl. And they were like so toxic to each other. Like they were both severe alcoholics and would just like stay in the apartment and drink straight vodka like every day. It was very crazy. And so they were like around when we were, and so they were like encouraging us to like drink more and more. So I ended up drinking like the whole bottle of wine by myself, and then also like a bunch of shots of vodka with them.
Oh no.
And I don't remember much. Like I do remember throwing up in a toilet. I remember him calling my friend Margot and being like, what do I do? And she was like, give her bread. And I remember like kind of trying to eat bread.
That was the thing. In college, it was like, eat bread, drink water, eat bread.
Eat bread, drink water. And yeah, I was really trying.
Or turn on your side. Here's a trash can.
I know, yeah, turn on your side for sure. Don't choke on your own vomit. Not fun. Not a fun way to go. And so then I just remember that, like I had brown out of that. And then the next thing I remember, it was like really, really early in the morning, like probably 5 or 6 a.m. I wake up, I'm on the floor. I have a shirt and bra, no pants or underwear. There's a pillow and like a small blanket on top of me. And I'm like, what the fuck? So I get up, I like go into bed. And then like a few hours later, we both wake up and I'm like, hey. And he's like, do you remember what happened last night? God. And I was like, oh my God, I threw up. I'm so sorry. And he was like, no. You threw up. We got into bed. I thought we were going to bed. Then you get out of the bed, look me directly in the eyes, pull your pants down, and pee on the floor.
Oh my God.
And I was like, sorry. And so then he like cleaned it up, and then he like left me on the floor. And he was I was thinking about not giving you a pillow, but I did. And I was like, okay. But
he
yeah.
left you on the floor?
I know. He was, I don't know. He's problematic in a way. He broke my heart real bad later. So I always say like, you know, he shit on my heart, but I peed on his floor.
That's funny.
That's the thing. So yeah, that was the story. I really don't remember it, but apparently I mean, I trust him that happened. I guess he could have made the whole thing up, but I don't think so.
Damn. I mean, I hear that kind of thing, like people peeing or shitting on the floor when they're drunk. And yeah, I guess it's just a thing where you're like, I know. You can't find the bathroom when you're blackout. I don't know.
Yeah, your brain like thinks something else is happening. I guess. I don't know the science of it, but
it's so funny that you looked him in the eyes.
I know, that's the best part. That is really the best part. I do. It's like actually a power. I like wish I was sober and doing that. Whoever that version of myself is pretty fucking cool.
That's so funny. I would just do that and then pretend not to remember and be like, what are you talking about? I must have been blacked out. Like, you don't drink. I know. Well, yeah, who knows? Get something in the air. Check your carbon monoxide.
Oh man. Yeah. So that's probably my like most embarrassing drunk confession.
Did you drink a lot in college?
I did. I started drinking really early. Like I started drinking when I was in like 8th grade.
Oh wow. What was your first drink? Was it at a party or was like sneaking out of your parents?
I think I'd had like a little bit of wine or something with my parents before, but then my first time getting really, really drunk, I was in 8th grade. And I had this group of friends. We called ourselves the Sweet Six.
Oh my God, you were those girls.
I was that girl. I was the ugly duckling of the group at the time.
I feel like having a group like that, it's just like immediately so cool. It's like immunity in middle school.
It is. But the fucked up thing about it is that it's like we would just talk shit about each other all the time. It was like this weird, horrible.
Oh no.
Yeah, it was very crazy.
Were you guys popular? Or did you have that in New York? I feel like New York is different, huh?
New York is a little different. But I mean, in our middle school, we were... Yeah, I'd say we were popular, whatever that means. I mean, it's like people like we were kind of awful, so it was like it was very mean girls.
So you're like invited to the parties and
I mean, we didn't really have. I guess we did have parties. Well, there was this one girl who's and this was like sort of sad, which is whatever. I won't say her name, but she had like divorced parents, and they were both really shitty, and like they would like kind of not. I don't know. I don't know if this is 100% correct, but the way I remember it is that like neither of them really like wanted her or something. Aww. But she had her mom like had this huge brownstone in Brooklyn, and she didn't give a shit what we did there. So we would go there and like just get drunk, and they would like smoke weed and like do all kinds of stuff and like have sex. I mean, I wasn't having sex yet, but they were, and like whatever. And she just wouldn't care. And then sometimes we would hear her like having sex with her boyfriend upstairs.
Damn.
It's like so wild. But so we would always go over to her house and like get drunk or whatever. But I feel like my first drink was probably like, I feel like there was a long phase in 8th and 9th and 10th grade where it was like mostly Smirnoff Ice.
Yep. Okay.
Like a lot of Mike's Hard and Smirnoff. Like that was, and like one of them would get me wasted, you know. Those were the days.
Yeah, I think I had Malibu was my first drink.
Ooh,
and I was like,
Malibu,
I'm smashed. And it was like not. It was for sure placebo. Can't get drunk off. Like it was like, and Coke, like, you know, Malibu and Coke.
Yeah. I feel like I don't know. I feel like you can, like when you're 13 or whatever, like your little body doesn't know. But yeah, so that was, I started drinking early, and then like I drank a lot in high school and a lot in college, and then a lot still.
And still, what was it like going to high school in New York? Like, were people like, did people go to bars and clubs?
Most of what we did is my high school was in New York. It was in Manhattan, and there was this one Russian girl who lived in like deep Brooklyn, and she had like some weird Russian mob connection where she would get us these really believable fake IDs. Whoa. Like at the time, the New York State IDs were these like bendy ones.
Those are the chalk kind, right? Or you could chalk it or something?
Oh, I don't know about that. Oh. It was a kind where it could it bended, and like the whole thing of it is like if it bent fully without breaking, that's how you would like know that it was real. And I don't know. He must have been like a cop who was doing this part-time or something, because they would bend, they would scan, like they did everything. They were like really good fake IDs. And so we all got them. And then we would just mostly like the drinking would happen. We would go to like bodegas, and it is crazy to think back on like these people. Like we were 14. Like there's no way we didn't look 14, you know. And we would buy like bottles of liquor, and then we would buy like a Coca-Cola or something, and then we'd go into like a McDonald's or a Starbucks bathroom, pour out half the Coke, and then fill the rest with liquor, and then just like walk around New York and drink. That was most of what we did.
That sounds hella cool.
It was actually really fun. I want to do it now.
That sounds like what we did in college. Like I feel like you just did everything earlier.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. Because it was just, that was only really the way. I mean, there was like one friend whose house like we could kind of go to sometimes to get drunk, but mostly it's like, you know, everyone had apartments. Like there wasn't like a basement to like sneak off to. It's like we had to just be outside for most of the time.
There's no woods. I guess you could drink at a park, but I feel like that's dangerous.
It is kind of dangerous, yeah.
Because that's what we did in high school. Or there were like, I lived like near the hills in like the Bay Area, so sometimes you drive up to like a lookout and then just drink on a hill.
Yeah, like, honestly, it all sounds very nice.
I don't know.
I love drinking
really
outside.
Lame when I think about, we thought we were so cool, but it's like if you take away the coolness of breaking a rule like drinking, you're just sitting on a hill. It's pretty wholesome.
It is.
But yeah. I feel like being a kid though, things like that were so. Like, it didn't take much to feel like, ooh, this night is exciting.
Yeah, I know. Like, life was everything was so exciting and new.
Now it takes a lot to get me to leave my house. Like, nothing is really exciting. I usually go more for obligation than excitement.
I know, me too, actually.
What's your like typical night out like that you would do? You like hit your friends up to be like, let's do this? Or
nowadays?
Is it usually, because I feel like there used to be a vibe in college or high school where you're like, what are we doing tonight? Like, what gets you excited now as an adult?
It's tough. I mean, it's tough with comedy because so much of our nights are like working, you know. But I do try to do things. Last night I went to a concert, which I haven't done in a long time.
What was the concert?
It was actually very fun. It was this band called Miniature Tigers. I actually didn't really know about them. My friend, you know, Caitlin Ackerman.
Oh yeah,
she was going, and she was like, "Oh, do you want to come?" And I was like, I listened to their music. I was like, "They're good." It was at the Bootleg Theater where I'd never been. Okay, really cool venue. So yeah, it was cool. It was like I kind of was like I should do more like normal people nighttime stuff, like concerts and stuff. And it was very fun. They were great. The opening band was like local LA band, and like all their parents were there and stuff. So they were like really supportive. It was really fun. So it was a good time. I was like I should come see music more, I guess. But generally speaking, like, I don't know. I love like I've always loved like a house party, like a dinner party, or just like a bunch of people hanging out in a backyard or something. I think that's probably my favorite kind of gathering.
Yeah, I think now I like smaller things where I know who's going to be there. I think in New York, when I started doing comedy, I liked to go to the thing that everyone was going to, and I liked to not know who was going to be there because it was fun to be like, who am I going to see?
Yeah.
And now it's more like, yeah, I prefer like a dinner party where I'm like, okay, I know the 10 people who will be there. I know I like them all.
Yeah.
That's the plan for the night. It's not a maybe attending. It's like I said yes, so we're gonna go.
And it's like, I feel like I have so many good, I'm lucky to have so many good friends now that it's like, I just want to, I have so little free time. I want to spend time with the people that I love and not like, I do want to meet new people as well, but it's just like, oh, I feel like I barely have time to see the people that I already know, so I want to like prioritize that. But I don't know. But also being single now, it's like, well, I also kind of want to meet new people because I don't know, the apps are bad. I don't want to be on them, and I'd love to just meet a person in real life.
Well, you said this guy wasn't a comedian when you dated him in college, but he is now. So do you tend to date, like, I know you've dated comedians before, do you tend to meet people mostly through work?
Kind of. I do have a disease where I like date poor artists. Not that they're always, my ex wasn't, my ex is doing fine, but it's like, I wish I wanted to date like I don't know, someone with a real stable life who could like,
would you like that?
Me. I mean, I don't know. I think the problem is no. I
feel like we always find what we are looking for.
Yeah.
Even subconsciously.
I know. I think I just like other artists. I like people who are like, I like banter. I just need someone who's kind of like sarcastic and
who gets it.
Yeah, someone who's just like a little like cynical or something. And I feel like, I don't know, normal people with normal jobs who like go to who like are part of a dodgeball league and like go to trivia night or whatever that life is. You know what I mean? Like those kind of people.
Yeah,
I'm like, I'm jealous of that making you happy, but I don't know that it would for me.
Basic is what you're saying.
Honestly, I'm not being sarcastic when I say I'm jealous of basic people. I wish that's what I wanted. It seems like such a nice life. You like get a real job, you have a 401k, you like get a house, you marry someone, you have a kid, you like live. That's your life.
That sounds awful.
It sounds awful to me, but imagine I just wish that I wanted that.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you wanted it sounds great because it's like so simple to know what you want.
But then I wonder if those people say the same thing about artists, because I have friends who be like, wow, like that's so cool you do that. I wish I could. And like, you can. But then they're like, oh, I don't want to. You know what I mean? Like it's like
you can, but it's gotta suck.
Yeah. It's like, well, I don't really want to be poor like you. But it seems cool that you're enjoying it. Seems nice that you don't mind.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. Like.
Yeah. Do you ever watch The Bachelor or Bachelorette?
Yeah, I'm not a super fan. I haven't watched it, but there have been seasons where I've followed. Yeah.
I watch more. I don't really watch it, but I watched Bachelor in Paradise the last season, and that got me in. So I'm a little bit like interested in now. But I feel like whenever I watch that, I see the people on it, and I'm like, oh, this is like. They seem like, eligible bachelors and bachelorettes just having a cool life, being hot and like loving life. Like they're like the kind of people who post Instagram quotes, earnestly. But then at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. They seem cool. Although most of the people on those shows end up leaving their jobs once they get famous off of that show.
That's what they want. I mean, that's the thing. Those people are crazy. I mean, you have to have a certain level of like psychosis to be on The Bachelor or The Bachelorette. Like,
yeah,
it's how do you earnestly believe that love comes that way? Like they don't. Either they do and they're dumb as hell, or they don't and they're just trying to get like Instagram sponsorships, which I respect that route more. It's like at least they kind of are playing the game.
Do you think it's harder to date on a reality show or harder to date in comedy?
Well, most comedians were just trying to get on a reality show. So.
True. I do feel like when I watched that show, I was like, oh, I could do this. But then I thought about it and I was like, there's so much drama. And I realized that didn't feel like drama because living in LA and New York, like dating is kind of like that.
Yeah.
And most people, when they watch those shows, they're removed. They're like, oh, it's crazy that this person's dating 2 people and then like was lying about this. And I'm like, that happened to me. I'm like, oh no, that's not good. I shouldn't relate to The Bachelor in Paradise.
You're like, I'm a Bachelor in Paradise, but without the like flat tummy tea sponsorship
yeah,
or
it's
whatever.
A lot less glamorous. A lot more bearded dudes and.
I know. I'm trying to like date a hot man, like a hot. Man, I don't know. I'm like never attracted to super hot men. I was talking to my friend Julie about this. I think it's because like I don't like rejection. As Abby says, I find rejection intolerable.
I love it. No.
I know nobody likes it, but I think I like am very averse to it. My brain is constantly like protecting itself from it, which is not great. But
you're
so
like very hot.
Oh, thank you so much.
I feel like you talk. I feel like hot men talk to you.
They don't.
I wonder
though.
if it's a matter of like, do you not like if
I
someone
not
was
know?
genuinely all in? No, that do you like the feeling of being or like having to earn someone's affection?
I think no. I think that's what it is. I think I only ever want to like hook up with kind of a sure thing, and so and also like if a guy's too attractive, I kind of like defensively am unattracted to him. Like I'll be like, well, I don't want that anyway, because I think because in my head I'm like, oh, they probably won't be. I don't know. I this is actually something I've been meaning to do, is post on my Instagram about this, because I feel like in my life,
am I? No.
Well, kind of to be like, I feel like every time I hook up with someone, my friends are like, he's not hot enough, and I'm like, I don't know what hot enough is. Like, I need someone to send me pictures of men, famous or not, whatever, that they think that they would see me with and be like, that makes sense.
Well, no, I mean, like, there's a level that's funny to be like, oh, obviously you're dating him for his personality, but like, also you should date who you want to date, because I mean, hotness is subjective, but if you're feeling like there's a difference between being like, I like this person and I think they're hot, and I like this person and I know they're not hot. You do what I mean? Like, if you're aware of it, then there's probably a part of you subconsciously is holding back. But if you find them very attractive, then you wouldn't care.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is so much of my attraction is based on personality, unfortunately, like as with many women.
I feel like I have had, well, I'm like, I do think I date people that I'm attracted to. But I have gotten that before too from my friends who will be like, what? I don't get it. And that sounds mean, but you know what I mean? Like, in the same way.
It's not, people just say it. I mean, like, I'm not misquoting them. I don't know that I agree, but I just am like, so many people say it. I'm like, okay, what is my level? Like, I don't even know.
Well, a part of me realized, and this is because I was like, nothing's ever just on one person. It's like, so what am I doing here? Because when I genuinely would be like attracted to these people. So it's not like, and I'm not like these are uggos. Like, that's not what I mean.
Yeah, I don't mean that either.
But there's just a level of people being like, you're like dimming your light. Like, this person's not treating you well, and they're not necessarily like traditionally hot. So, like, what are you doing? Like,
at least if they don't treat you well, you should want to fuck them all the time.
Right. There was a feeling of like something is going on where you like this like dynamic, as opposed to like, oh, he's so sweet, it's okay that he's or whatever, But I thought about it, and I think that I think I'm changing now. Like, I can feel myself changing, but I think I used to like feeling really hot, and I think it was a self-esteem thing. Yeah. And I think in the same way, like, if I dated someone who like was like overly like, oh, you're so hot, like that, then I made me feel hot, and then that made me think they were hot. Yes. And if I date someone who I think is too hot for me, in my mind, I'm like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm not attractive enough. You could do so much better. Absolutely. And I didn't like that feeling. So then that made me also not like them, because they made me feel that way.
Right. Even if they weren't trying to make you feel that way, just their existence. No, I that's 100% how I feel. Like, I don't know. I like to be the one in control, which is like, the one who like has a little bit of the upper hand, because I haven't been always. Like, I've definitely gone back and forth, and like, I think the times where I'm not in control, I get so insane and my head just like spins all the time, and I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. I guess one thing my therapist said, we're talking about therapy so much, is she's kind of like, we talked about my history of relationships and how either like I'm like kind of pushing them away, or they're kind of pushing me away in terms of like who is kind of more attracted to the other person, or who like is more insecure. And she was like, wouldn't it be nice to just stand with someone?
Oh, that's sweet.
I know. And I like, that blew my goddamn mind. I was like, I don't understand. Like, I don't even understand how that does sound great, but I don't know how or why to do that. I don't know.
A similar, my therapist told me like it in a different way, but she said like some people always have to have a certain distance between you and them. So when you pull away, they might come to you faster, so then you'll get the love bombing. So you're like, they like me, but then as you get closer to them, they'll move away. So there's always that same emotional distance. But I think I used to like that dynamic too, because it mirrored my mom and myself. So I don't know what your relationship with your parents were.
I don't know what it is with my parents. My parents are like happy and in love, and I think that fucked me up in a different way, where it's like I thought I loved romantic comedies and my parents were happy, and so I was like, this is what it's gonna be. And so like every time I met someone, I like fell really hard in love with them and was just like, this will be it, and then it's not, and then I'm like, wait a minute.
Did you feel like you always had unconditional love for them, or did you have to like earn their respect or love?
I think it was like too unconditional. Like,
okay,
like to the
interesting.
point where I talked to my therapist about this too, about like how sometimes I feel like I don't, it feels like I could do anything and they would still love me in a way that's like, I don't know that I don't like trust their love. I'm like,
Oh,
they love, this is that we're getting deep into my psyche where I'm like, sometimes I don't understand why they love me. Hi, I'm depressed.
Oh my gosh.
Or like what, like it sort of feels like they would just love any kid. You know what I mean?
So there's a lot of like self-doubt, like you're not a lot of self-love because you're like, why do you love me?
We're working
if I
on
don't
that.
love myself? But this is really interesting because I feel like I've never heard that with parents who like you felt like you always had enough love from them, but then you'll still have that feeling about yourself.
Yeah, I don't know where it comes from then, I guess, because they always like believed in everything I did. I guess I'm like skeptical of it. I'm like, wait a minute.
Did you have siblings?
Yeah, I have one brother.
Did you feel like there wasn't enough love to go around? Like, were they just so doting on outside people everywhere that you were like, I'll run out of?
No, I don't even mean like that. I
attention?
mean, they are very like loving people, but they loved us and support us for everything. I guess it feels like the love was unearned. Like, I don't feel like I earned it. Like, I never had to. I don't know.
What made you feel like you had to earn it? I feel like most parents should love. Should by default love their children.
I guess so. It's like I was talking to a friend of mine who also grew up in Park Slope with me recently, who I was visiting in the Bay, and she explained it as like she works with kids now, and her parenting. I think her parents' parenting was very similar, and she's like sometimes I feel like, how did she say it? She was like, sometimes I feel like growing up, anything I did, my parents were so like excited and so happy about it that as an adult, if I do something and someone's face doesn't light up,
oh, okay,
it's like, it's too, like it went too
an
far.
unrealistic standard.
Yes. And so she's like, and so she works with kids, and she's like, I always try to not give unearned like praise. Like I'll praise them when they do something good, but I try not to I try to make it mean something, you know?
Did you feel like do you like test people you're in relationships with to test if their love is true? Because I'm hearing like the idea, I don't know if I'm just asking that because you said something about you don't trust their love, like it's not real. So like, what does that translate to you in relationships?
That's a good question. I guess so. Yeah, I think that's maybe why what we were talking about earlier. Like that's why I go for men who very clearly love me so much, who like are very happy, like who are thrilled to have me, because otherwise, like, because that's what I'm used to. And if they're not like fully in it and like fully like you're amazing, then I'm like, I can't. That's what I'm used to. Then it feels like they don't love me enough. I do. I used to a lot more. Like I used to be really, really bad. I had this boyfriend in New Orleans who like he was one of the ones that like pulled away from me and was like not very giving, and he was like, he should have whatever, but he was fucked up. Like we dated for like 2 years and he never gave me a key to his house, and then after we broke up he got engaged like 6 months later to someone. Yeah, like he was a coward. He should have just whatever. I was hot, and I think that's why he didn't, and the sex was good, and I think that's why he didn't break up with me for so long. But anyway, but he was pulling away, and so I was constantly like so jealous. I would like, whatever, I can say this now, who cares? I would like look at his computer, I would like look at his phone, I would look at his computer, I would like be thinking I was crazy. I would think every single day, like what is he doing? Why isn't he texting me? Like it turned me into a horrible version of myself. And so since that relationship, I've tried to like only go for guys that won't make me feel like that, which is like the ones that like me so much. But I definitely
do you like those guys so much too? Because I think that's important too.
Yeah, I don't know. It's like that's what I'm trying to figure out, because it's like my relationship history only exists in these two like these two polar dynamics or whatever, where it's like one of us has the power or something, and I need to figure out how to be in a relationship. I mean, I think it's going to come from self-love. Like I think that's the thing, is like it's all insecurity based. It's like one of you has an insecurity, you know, and then it manifests in jealousy. That's all jealousy is, I think. It's just,
But
insecurity.
Well, sometimes there are people who will stoke it, like, and then it can be very dangerous if combined, like someone who's super insecure and someone who's manipulative. Because if you're already insecure, you probably tend to be insecure about things that you shouldn't be.
Right.
And a manipulative person can really take advantage of that. And then when they point out the evidence, they can be like, well, you're like kind of crazy. Look at your history.
Yeah. I've been lucky that I haven't had, I mean, I know you had some instances like that, and I've been really lucky that I haven't had that. Like I know a lot of girlfriends who've had that kind of thing, and that is like a whole nother level that I've never had to experience. It's been pretty cut or dry, like for me. So I feel very lucky about that.
I think it's interesting too how we learn from relationships, because it's not that you'll necessarily like go to the opposite after one relationship, but I'll find myself like after like a bad relationship, I'll if I'm dating someone, I'll notice more like if they do something totally opposite that I like, and I'm like, oh, this person never did this, and they do it, and I'll notice that even if it's not like a deal breaker, or like something as simple as like I dated a guy who like this is gross, but like wouldn't wash his hands before we had sex. But then I would like I'm also a neat freak, so I was like, I need to just get over this. Like if this is how he's out in the wild, maybe other girls are cool with it. But it would bug me, and I wanted to ask him to wash his hands sometimes if like we were out all day or something, and I just like noticed, because I noticed as we came home, like he's not washing his hands. Oh no, now he's kissing me. Like
this is my ex. My ex is a germaphobe like that. I'm on the other end of that.
Well, because I'm like, if your fingers are gonna be inside me, you know what I mean?
Yeah, you're right. I've literally never thought about that. But you're not wrong.
It just like grossed me out. But then I eventually, I guess, I got over it. But then so then I noticed that with someone. Like just knew after that relationship, like specifically was like stopped to be like, oh, I'm gonna go wash my hands, but it wasn't like you have to go. And I was like, oh, this is so nice. I was like, me too.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I like that, because I'm like, it seems silly, but you're like, okay, no, they care about hygiene.
They care about the same thing you care about. That is. So I mean, it's important. Yeah. No, I get that so much. Like, yeah. I feel like when you get out of a relationship, all you do is compare everyone you're with to be like, oh, they do this thing the same, they do this thing different, they do, and it's like you're just going through all the things in your brain that were like the reasons you had to end it, and you're kind of like desperately trying to like make sure that you like almost like making sure you're not crazy for like thinking that was like a problem, because you're like, someone else agrees with me, like I'm not.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder what the things I do are, because I'm sure I have those too. Like sometimes there's blind spots. Like if I didn't tell that person about the hands thing. Right. So I'm like, I'm sure I do stuff that bugs people all the time.
I'm sure too, for me. Yeah. I mean, like no one's perfect. I don't know how it works. To me, like long-term monogamy relationships, I'm just like, how at this point I'm like, I feel like I've tried a lot.
So you're like very poly in the belief system. In theory,
yeah. I mean, I don't know. Again, like we were talking about this before we recorded, but I've never actually tried an open relationship. I just in theory think about it, and I don't know if poly would be the right word, or just like some form of non-monogamous.
Yeah, I think you should try it if you've been thinking about it, especially now if you're single.
Yeah, I mean, the best time dating around,
like,
which is like
fresh slate.
Yeah, I feel like to some degree, like dating around is non-monogamy. I think my ideal, when I think about what my ideal is, it would be like having a primary partner who I could like love and spend my life with in sort of a traditional seeming way, and then us having the like trust and respect that's strong enough that we can like make out with people like even if it's not like having sex necessarily, just like if there's ground rules around it or whatever, but just to like be able to like hang out with someone else, go on a date, like flirt, like make out, whatever.
Have
you know what I mean? Yeah, like I just love connecting with people like that. Like I love that kind of intimacy, so it's like I just don't want to give that up. It just feels crazy to me to like never make out with anyone else.
There's
like if I meet
people
someone
out there
now
who share that same belief system.
I know. A lot of the men are weird and bad.
I think. Well, there's that, but also there's a couple. I mean, like Eli Olsberg, who's a good friend of mine who's been on this pod, talks a lot about it on stage. But do you know about compersion?
That word sounds familiar, but I forget.
He was the one who taught me that word, but it's like the opposite of like jealousy and envy. It's where you get like excited for your partner when they feel good. That. Yeah. It's like if someone's hitting on you and flirting with you, and you're lighting up because it's making you feel dopamine rush.
Right.
As a partner, I would be excited for you.
Right.
But like truly, not like, oh, I gotta be happy for her. And people do get to that point, but I think you have to find the right partner who has dealt with their own triggers, because of course we get triggered, like you said, from insecurities, from other trauma. Yeah, it's hard, but I think that sounds like maybe what you're looking for.
I think it is what I'm looking for. I think right now I'm like, I need a little break. I need to just be alone. And again, like, a lot of it is the self-love stuff and the like, I am dealing with that. Or do you like
if someone gets, because there's the other hand too, I've heard of people who do open relationships, but kind of like get off a little bit on like the competition and jealousy.
I think it would be good for me in a way. I think it kind of keeps me, I kind of think it kind of keeps me on my toes, like a little bit. I think, again, it's like, it's only all in theory. So I don't know what it would be like, or what the balance would be for me that would be good. I imagine that like the idea of compersion seems so difficult to me. I'd love to get there one day, but that feels really far from my experience. But maybe. But I think for me, it would just be like maybe not all the way to compersion, but like enough. Like, but realistically, I'm
Sounds
like,
like it's like
like
enlightenment.
Right. I'm like, that feels like a whole nother level.
I think it's built on trust. So like,
yeah.
It's weird to imagine because if you don't know someone yet, you can't trust them. So you're hypothetically right now imagining a person you don't know and then being happy for them.
And that you trust so much. Yeah. I think it would be for me like the ideal that I think of would just be like a pinch of jealousy, just like a pinch of jealousy.
Sure.
Enough that I can be like, I'd want to like know the people. I'm also someone who like likes to know everything. I wouldn't want like a don't ask, don't tell. I'd want to like be involved in a way, which is also kind of weird, but I just always like, I don't like the unknown or kind of feeling like what's going on, you know. I just would rather like, I'd want to like meet them and be like, cool, like to have a good time, like, you know what I mean?
Bye,
like
kids, be back after 11.
Right,
Text if you're running late.
Exactly. Yeah. And like, I don't know, I'm not bi or anything, but I'm like, I don't know, I'd try it out, like whatever.
I feel like, okay, you're in LA, you're single, you're hot. I feel like you're gonna find someone who will fit your needs. I mean, everything you're saying, I'm like, there's probably dudes who are like, that sounds great. You know what I mean? Like, you just gotta find it.
Yeah,
but yeah, no, so. It's tough because before I very much identified as monogamous. Now I still think I do, but I'm a little bit more like question mark.
Yeah.
But before I was always trying to get into relationships. So if I dated someone I liked, I was like, when is this going to be a relationship? Come on. And if it's not, let's end it. But then I found out about being open and I was trying to temper my own jealousy and I was working on it. And I did toy with it. My last relationship, I asked him if he wanted to be open because I thought it would help. But it kind of backfired. But so we didn't do it and he ended up cheating. But that's neither here nor there. But what I learned from that is I'm open to it because the fact that I asked, like I had done enough work to be like, I would be okay with this.
Yeah.
If we were communicating.
Totally.
And that's so different from where I used to be, where I was like, you can't be with anyone. I'm so jealous.
Yeah. I think it's like just the ability to like have the conversation is like the base level of it for me, where it's like, because I think, I guess I just associate, to me, I associate so much of monogamy with jealousy, which is not fair. I think there's a lot of people who are very happily monogamous, but for me, like the only way I'd ever get there is either because they're too jealous to let me try something or I'm too jealous to let them. And that's how it feels for me. And so I just don't, I'm like, I don't want to be in a relationship like that. Like that's just not,
it should be like a full-time job where you're allowed to take PTO or something. Like you have to like send a request to be like, I would like to take Memorial Day off from this relationship.
That's a great idea. I love that. We can get like Google form.
You're single for this week.
Manager approval.
Yeah, because then it doesn't feel like it's like I met someone and I need to fuck them now. Because I think that's the fear. I'm like, it's so urgent. Like, well, if I say no, like you're going to be thinking about it. And if I say yes, I'm like thinking about how you just couldn't resist.
I know. That's tough too, because part of it though, it's like, I think as comedians, some of my most fun like hookups are like on the road, you know?
Well, that was why I brought up the open thing, because this was a comedian and I was like, this would be cool if we both understand each other and we're both open and we travel. And like, I kind of get it because like I've been on the road and when I'm single, it's like after a show, it literally means nothing if you meet someone. I'm also not a guy, so I'm not going out trying to meet people after shows.
Right. And they don't come up to female comedians as much as they come up to male comedians.
But when it does happen, I'm like, and I've seen it with other guys and meeting people after shows, I'm like, this is not what I'm jealous of. Like,
no,
you are on a high because you had a killer stat. You're on the road. Like, you literally would just, I mean, you could just cheat and get away with it. If you're a good guy, you won't. But then I'm like, who am I to take that away from you? Like, just have a good night, be safe. And like, whatever, like, don't like keep texting this girl or whatever, but like,
yeah, I think I feel the same way. And as long as you're open with her that you're in an open relationship and she's okay with it, you know what I mean? Important. Like, I mean, that's kind of the situation I was just in, was like, if someone I met on the road and he was like, the one that cheated on his girlfriend, whatever, a whole thing. He didn't say he had a girlfriend. It was a whole thing.
I hate
crazy
that
thing.
when they drag you into that. And when I was like in my early 20s, I had a couple of situations like that where I was propositioned to be a side chick, but after we had already hooked up, and and I was like, this is dumb. Like a guy, I hooked up with a coworker who that I had like big crush on, and I had no idea what his relationship status was. But then, like, of course, I was in my 20s, so I was very much like, we hooked up once. Let's keep doing it until
Right.
we're together forever. So, you know, a lot of that. But then he was just like shifty and dodgy. And I thought, okay, guest unavailable. But then one night he was like, really like, come over. And then that's when he was like, my girlfriend's out of town. And I was like, oh.
Ugh.
Then I was like, oh, sorry, I didn't realize I had a girlfriend. He's like, no, you should still come over. And I was like, no, thank you. Don't want to be a side chick. Bye. But I was like, why would you not mention
You
that?
gotta mention that. You gotta. I mean, that's the whole thing with ethical.
Gross,
that's
I'm
the
like,
ethical part of ethical non-monogamy, right?
No, I'm implicated. What if I like your girlfriend? Like,
yeah, and also just like that's he took the agency away from you. Like he made a decision for you, and that's not consent. You weren't consenting because you didn't have all the information.
By like, because people will justify it away, but it doesn't hold any water, because if the guy's like, well, I didn't know. But then you're like, if you didn't say anything, it's probably because you thought there was a chance that I wouldn't hook up with you, which you're correct.
Exactly.
And that's why you didn't say it. So therefore, it's wrong. Because if you're trying to do this to manipulate the situation, it's not ethical.
Exactly. It's like a withholding of information.
I have recently realized that, like, I think what I feel like I miss in monogamy is knowing the person fully. Okay, tell me if this makes sense. So like, you know, when you first meet someone, not necessarily in comedy, because I feel like we all know each other more on like a deeper level because we watch each other's comedy, but like just the person out in the world, let's say you meet them, you fall in love, but you didn't know them for like whatever 30 years before that. I feel like there's this part of them that you'll never know, like what they were like when they were single, like what they were doing the day before they met you, like how they flirt with people on dating apps. Like, it's like I don't show that side of myself to my partners, because it's like, it doesn't even really feel real. But you know how you kind of put on an air when you're like trying to be flirty?
Yeah.
But like, you wouldn't want to show your partner your like dating app messages, because it's not, none of those people mean anything, but there's still a level of like intimacy.
Right.
But I feel like I want to see that. Like, I want to see how someone I'm with would like holler at a girl out. You know what I mean? Like, but you don't get that when you're with them. So I miss that, because it's like their friends get that. Their friends get to see them through relationships, see how they're like single, see what they're like when they really like someone, when they're heartbroken, all of that. But you don't get that when you're with someone.
Yeah, I think that's why I would want like that kind of, I wouldn't want like a don't ask, don't tell thing. I want to be part of it. I also just love I love chatting with friends about like boys and girls and things. And it's like, I would love, like, I talk about that stuff with my best friend. So it's like, if I want my partner to be like my best friend or whatever, I want to be like, oh my God, there's a really cute guy at whatever. Or like, I want him to be like, I met this really cool girl. Like, you know what I mean? I just feel like that seems like that's fun to me. Like, I want to be able to like chat about that, or like talk about people we've hooked up with in the past and be like, oh, I had this crazy experience. Like, or like if we run into someone that one of us is hooked up with, we can both like, everyone's aware of what's going on. Like that kind of thing. It just feels, that's just how I am with people that I want to spend so much time with. So why wouldn't I want to be like that with my partner, you know?
Oh, that's really nice. I mean, in a way, at first I thought it was weird that what you're describing your relationships pattern was and how your parents were to you. But now it kind of makes sense, because it sounds like what you're looking for is like unconditional love in a relationship.
Yeah.
Like truly just like, you can do no wrong. Like you can do this and say this. But you, as long as you trust that you love each other, it's there. But it's tough because other people are not coming in with that. So they have their own shit they need to work out. Yeah. So you need to find someone who was loved a lot as a child and is also sarcastic. So like loved, but still funny. Like just enough edge to be funny. Maybe someone who's loved and depressed. I don't know.
Honestly, I should just get used to being alone. That's what it sounds like. Oh man, yeah, I am loved and depressed. I guess that's my brand.
Loved and depressed. All right, that'll be a new dating app.
If you're out there, let me know.
Yeah, holler if you're on the antidepressants. And you had unconditional love. Yeah,
you really should. Then you feel bad because you're like, I don't have a reason to be this sad, and then it's a horrible spiral. Let me know if you're down there with me.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. Well, thanks for sharing that story.
Thank you.
We have a quick game. Do you want to play?
Let's do it. Okay.
This game is called Fuck, Fuck, Fuck. Because, you know, if you've ever been on a school bus field trip, you guys know the game of Fuck, Marry, Kill, or whatever PG version it was called. Like at church camp, maybe kneel, baptize, exercise. I don't know. I just made that up, but I feel like it exists somewhere. But it's 2020, so we have more than just one fuck to give away. I feel like this is very on theme with our conversation, and also because I know you've talked about very exciting threesome in your stand-up set, and I love that story. It's so fun with the two Berkeley dudes. And I recently made a short film about a threesome, so this is a threesome-inspired game. Much like Fuck, Marry, Kill, I'm going to read a list of names, but then you just pick the two you would rather have a threesome with.
Okay.
Very simple. And they're all kind of in categories. Apologies, a lot of these people are not very fuckable, but I think it makes it more fun. Okay. Okay, and then whoever you don't pick, they can just go off and get off on their own.
Can they watch or is that...
They can watch, but we're positive here. They don't need to die. There's no killing in this game.
No killing.
They'll just have to go off. And
also, marriage is bad. So like this game is the best version of the game I've ever heard of.
Okay, here's the first group of candidates because they're literal candidates. Pete Buttigieg, Bernie Sanders, Amy Klobuchar, or Joe Biden. Which two would you have a threesome with?
Oh, God. Probably... Oh God! Probably Pete Buttigieg and Amy Klobuchar.
Okay.
I feel like Pete Buttigieg wouldn't be interested, and so then I would just be with Amy Klobuchar. And she seems like she's wild in private. So
yeah,
that'd
be
fun.
That. She's fiery.
Also, Bernie Sanders is too old, and so is Joe Biden. They're both old.
True.
Sorry to be ageist, but if Elizabeth Warren was in there, she would have been my girl.
I left her out purposefully. Amy could peg Pete, and
then I could. Yeah, that's a great idea. I love that. Yeah. I love that.
That's how all elections should end, is just big orgy, because a lot of people have all this tension and we've all built up, and it's like, look, we're all friends. You don't need a handshake.
Wow.
Everybody
this is
get
positive
naked
America now.
and fuck, and then we're like, reset, right? Exchange of power, exchange of cum, all,
I think that's important.
I think let's get on it.
I'm on board.
Okay, here's the next group. These are all Billboard Top 100 artists. Post Malone, Justin Bieber, Billie Eilish, or DaBaby.
Okay, I don't know who DaBaby is, but I would say
DaBaby's cute, but DaBaby is fairly new, but like hot and trending.
Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy. I'll show you a photo.
Oh my God, definitely him. He's cute. Okay, definitely him. And
he does the da-da-da, yeah, da-da-da, yeah. That song,
I don't know. I'm not
I
cool. I feel like probably him and Justin Bieber.
Okay.
Just because, look, Justin Bieber is a weirdo, but he's physically attractive.
True.
And it would be like a great story. And Billie Eilish is like intimidating, and also like I don't really like her aesthetic. I know that makes me old, but I just think it's like it's not pretty. I don't like it. And then who was the first one?
Post Malone.
Oh, Post Malone. Yeah, face tattoos. No, thank you. No, thanks.
Okay. Next one: Kellyanne Conway, Ann Coulter, Tucker Carlson, or Alex Jones.
Oh, good. I mean, I'd have to go with the two women because at least they're like not. They're only disgusting mentally, not physically.
True.
Whereas Tucker Carlson and Alex Jones are.
Me, but.
I mean, she knows they're all disgusting, but I mean, like Tucker Carlson and what was the last one? Alex Jones are both just like physically repulsive in a way that in addition to being mentally repulsive, and at least Ann Coulter and Kellyanne Conway are mentally repulsive, but like physically okay.
True.
That's the best I can do there.
Two more rounds. Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker, Jared Leto's Joker, or Jim Carrey's The Riddler.
Okay, definitely the Riddler. Because fuck the Joker in general.
Flexible.
Yeah, and also Jim Carrey is hot. And probably Heath Ledger.
He'd just be asking questions though the whole time. No.
Yeah, I love that. I love a man who listens.
Is this okay? Riddle me this. Where is your clit? Here's your final round. Your worst enemy, your best friend, any ex, or a reply guy.
I'm trying to think. I mean, probably any ex, because like I fucked them once, so there was a reason. Should I give the specific one?
No,
just
you
in
don't
my head.
have to.
Okay,
I mean, if you want to, but look, I'm not gonna tell
probably
you.
the one from New Orleans who like was very withholding because the sex was very good. And then probably not a reply guy. I guess maybe my best friend, although I'd worry that would ruin our friendship. But yeah, at least I care about them. It's two people I kind of care. I don't want to. I've been like lucky that I've never I've never been attracted to people who like are mean.
That's good.
I like to be with people I care about.
That's good.
Yeah. So those would probably be the two.
Okay. Cool. Well,
yeah.
there you have it. Those are your answers. Thank you for playing.
That was fun. That's a great version of the game.
Yeah, I might bring it back. Well, that's the pod, but this is your chance to plug your socials and let people know where to find you.
Okay, I'm at Molly Ruben-Long on all social media and also Venmo. Thank you so much.
Yes. Get in that bag. Venmo Molly. And you can follow this podcast at Tell Me Anything Pod and follow me at Larissa T on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you. Bye.